Hey Headliner Nation, Kyle from the Fantasy Headliners. I wanted to touch base with everyone out in Headliner Nation because we had some breaking news earlier today, finding out that star running back Ezekiel Elliott, along with other members of the Cowboys and the Texans, have tested positive for COVID-19. Now, I think all of us assumed that we were going to see some players test positive this year, and we're not the only ones. The league was also anticipating this happening. But when one of your biggest stars tests positive, it's going to lead some people to overreact a little bit. And not overreact because he's sick, but overreact to, oh, now the season's canceled, out the door, don't work. I don't think that's going to happen. And that's why I wanted to touch base with everyone, because I have some information I want to share with you. I want to talk a little bit about what we may see this season. And in terms of fantasy football, what can you do to prepare for it? So when we have a 2020 season, you can still enjoy the fantasy football experience. But two things I want to preface this video with. Number one, we are not health experts. We are not medical experts in any way, shape, or form. The information in this video is solely related to fantasy football and football purposes. That is it. Nothing more. Okay? Make sure you do your own research. Talk to your doctors. If you're sick, seek medical attention. Do not use this video for any reason whatsoever other than to prepare for the NFL and fantasy football season. And number two, if you've had COVID-19, if anyone else that you know have had COVID-19, to Ezekiel Elliott and everybody out there, I hope that you have a speedy recovery and you come back from the sickness healthy, okay? It has been known to be a dangerous sickness for a lot of people, all right? And it's something to take very serious. So make sure you're still doing your social distancing and everything like that, wearing your masks and being safe and healthy. With that being said, though, again, I want to talk about how this relates to the 2020 NFL season. And I want to bring up this tweet from a little bit ago from Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network. Now, the reason that I want to bring this up is because Dr. Alan Sills, the NFL's chief medical officer, on a conference call last month, brought up some information about what we are going to see this year. And he says, we fully well expect that we will have positive cases that arise. Our challenge is to identify them as quickly as possible and prevent the spread to other participants. Okay, that was what he had to say on a conference call last month. The NFL has been prepared for this. They know that they are going to have players test positive. And it's one of the reasons why right now team facilities are still not open to players unless they're getting worked on. Coaches can be there. Other team execs can be there. Medical staff can be there. If you're injured and you're doing any type of rehab, you can be there. But it's one of the reasons players are not there. We're seeing lots of videos of players getting together, but they're not potentially bringing the sickness into their team facilities. Right now, it is only June. We still have a while before the season kicks off. We are going to see more people test positive. That does not necessarily mean we are going to see the season canceled. If we get to August and we're seeing full teams test positive and people are sick and cannot get on the field, then we need to worry. But for right now, we should still plan on having a season. Now, one of the questions that we've gotten as well is, these guys that are testing positive, what does it mean for them later on in the season? This is an article I found over on Healthline. It was written by Julie Reyes on April 17th of this year. And in it, she says, health officials in South Korea say it's unlikely that these patients got reinfected with COVID-19 a second time since they're testing positive for a second time so soon, but rather that some people with COVID-19 may be experiencing a viral reaction. So one of the things that has come up with COVID-19 is, can you get it a second time? And that's what this article is about. She goes on to say, health experts in the United States don't think a reactivation of COVID-19 is likely since we've never observed viral reaction in any other coronaviruses. It could very well be that the virus never left the system, it lingered, and they were never fully cured of the disease, and that's what the subsequent COVID-19 tests are catching. And I even gave you the link down there below. So if you're interested in checking out that article, you can do that there. But some of the guys that are testing positive right now, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to come back in a few months and they're going to test positive again. So if you're worried about Ezekiel Elliott and any of these other guys that might pop up, the fact that they're testing positive now might mean when the season gets here that they're actually guys that won't end up needing to miss any time because they'll be able to stay on the field. They're not going to get it a second time. Now, that's assuming they stay healthy. Right now, Zeke has said that he's not experiencing any symptoms whatsoever. And that's been true for a lot of people with this virus. They're saying that they're not experiencing any sickness whatsoever. And then, of course, we've seen a lot of scary things with it as well. So it's something to take very serious. But in terms of football, if these guys are testing positive right now over the summer, maybe come the fall when they're on the field, they won't need to worry as much about getting it because it's going to have already been through their system. They're going to have built up some immunity to it, and they're not going to get sick a second time. So for you as a fantasy football player, what are you going to do? How are you going to prepare for the 2020 season? Okay, yes, we have a lot of things going on right now that are very serious, but again, we're a fantasy football channel. We like to talk fantasy football, and I just want to tell you, if you plan on playing fantasy football this year, what are some things that you can do to navigate through COVID-19? And I've got some steps for you and some things that you can do not only as a fantasy football player, but to those of you that run leagues out there, that manage leagues and commission leagues, these could also help as well. Number one, know your depth charts, okay? Know your depth charts. Know who is on the depth charts, okay? Know who's going to be backing up player, who are your second and third string options. Basically what has been said at this point, if a player tests positive for COVID-19, they are going to sit out 2 weeks, mandatory 2 weeks. So they could, number one, come back. But number two, while they're gone, you're going to want to know who is going to be playing in their place. So know the depth charts, okay? We're going to be talking about depth charts more this season because of this, because we want to make sure that you're prepared. But number two, save your waiver priorities. A lot of people, after they draft players, they go out and they add somebody right away and they blow their waiver priority. If you've got a top waiver priority, try to save it for as long as you possibly can. When we get in season, unless there's a player that you absolutely have to have, maybe using that top waiver priority or a waiver priority in the top half of your league isn't necessarily going to be a good thing, because maybe in a couple of weeks, if one of your players tests positive, you're going to need to have their backup, okay? So if that happens, save your waiver priority this year. Be a little bit more frugal on the waiver wire and be careful with who you're grabbing and who you're dropping. One way to help combat this is to add additional bench and IR spots in your league. Talk to your league commissioners, and it doesn't matter what type of your league or what type of a league that you are in. Request to add additional bench spots and additional IR spots this year. A majority of leagues for IR spots, you might have 2 or 3. Make it 5 or 6 this year. For bench spots, instead of having maybe 5 or 6 bench spots, have 7, 8, or 9. Yeah, it's going to make the draft a lot deeper. Yes, it's going to take some players out of the waiver pool for the waiver wire later on. But even in the season, it's even good, because if you have guys missing time, you're going to be able to move players around, grab some extra players if you need to. So even if you don't want to make the additional bench spots and IR spots right now, maybe do it right before the season starts and switch it up if your platform allows it. And number 4, my last point, draft running back handcuffs. It's going to be really, really important this year that you draft the handcuffs for running backs that are your superstars. Okay, normally we're going to do that anyway, right? We're going to keep an eye on those guys, but it is even more important this year that we have some of those running back handcuffs. So if you have 3 running backs on your team and you're not able to get guys later in the draft that can really help and step in and be a number 1 running back for you, you have the replacement for your number 1 running back already, so you can go ahead and slip them into the lineup instead, okay? So there's some different things that you can do to plan on having a successful year in fantasy football in 2020. This is whole new territory. All of us are kind of going through the waters together on this and staying afloat and just trying to process all the information and knowledge coming in at the same point. But because we had our first superstar test positive for the virus outside Von Miller, who tested positive a couple of months ago, I wanted to make sure that we did a video because we are getting a lot of questions, okay? I'm not doing this video to try and hit on the keywords or to try and make light of the situation or to take advantage of it. We're getting a lot of questions, and because we have so many people who watch the channel, I want to make sure we're giving you the best up-to-date information as possible and keeping you well informed. So if you have other questions, leave them down below. If we can't answer them, we won't. Like I said, we're not medical professionals. I'm not trying to play one right now. Just trying to give you the information that I have found and researched. And if you have a question below that I can answer, I will. And if I can't, I'll say, hey, I can't answer that question for you. So appreciate you tuning into this video. Thanks so much, Headliner Nation. Again, I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, having a great week so far, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a good one.